know who it is. It's Julie Wilcox, and welcome back to the Impact Show. Oh, that's not so good, huh? That sucked.
Look at Larry.
That sucked. And I am on my own show. That sucked. And welcome to the Julie Wilcox Show.
Y'all better keep this in the show. This is good. This is behind the scenes with the Todd, Durkin Impact Show, not the Julie Wilcox Show. Zach, you better keep this thing in there. I want these folks here what it really takes to get one of these shows done.
Yoo-hoo! It's Dark 30, and guess what it is? It's the Julie Wilcox podcast
Yoo-hoo!
show.
Wait, whoa, what?
Wait, what?
I'm getting my show hijacked?
Yes.
Julie Wilcox is in the house.
I am in the house today. You
Man,
better watch out.
I'm going to sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
Oh my gosh, I hope you do.
I am.
Good.
Great to have you on the show, Julie. Or great to
Wait
be a guest
second.
on the show.
You are a guest on the show.
I'm a guest on the show.
You know, Todd, I was sitting back and I was thinking, I want to know more about Todd Durkin. I want to know how you became who you are.
13 years wasn't enough of getting to know me.
Actually,
Fitness Quest 10,
Todd Durkin,
TV.
it's almost
Is
16.
it 16
July
now?
1st.
It feels like it's 10.
16.
Man.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. Hey, no, on a serious note, I ran across this quote that I really, really liked, and it kind of got me thinking, and I wanted to ask you some questions kind of around it. But this quote, I love it, by Mari Fadrigalan. It's life is not about finding who we really are. It's about creating who we really want to be.
Interesting.
I loved it.
Deep.
Yeah, it is deep.
Life is not about finding who you really are. It's about creating who you really want to be.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's what you were contemplating late at night.
I was.
And
Actually, I was.
And that's the purpose of today's show.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about life's creative moments.
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to fire away some questions. Rapid fire. Okay? You got this?
Fire away.
I love it.
I'm just a guest on the show.
First one, Todd Durkin. I want to know one of your fondest childhood memories.
Fondest childhood memories. We're stepping back in time. Snow. I love the snow. Grew up in New Jersey, so Christmas mornings when it was snowing, love that. Playing hoops in the driveway with a homemade backboard and rim that my father had put together with my brother, and literally shooting hoops till late at night. I loved shooting hoops in the driveway, and I just would say playing. I loved to play. There was woods right across the street, 13 Edgewood Drive, Brick, New Jersey. There was this massive forest right across the street from us, and I would play all the time, build forts, dig holes, you name it. I was always playing every day. I would say those are the fondest childhood memories. Oh, I've got another one. My mother once bought me these ice skates that I wanted to play ice hockey. Matter of fact, ice hockey was my favorite sport because it was my first sport. I was like 4 or 5 years old. I'm like, I gotta play ice hockey, right? And my mom bought me these skates. They were $12.99 at a store called Two Guys. Two Guys. Let me tell you what. I've never quit a sport before, but my ankles hurt so bad from wearing figure skates while playing hockey that I remember crying, literally crying after practice because my ankles hurt so bad because the figure skates weren't built to support a 5-year-old's ankles trying to play hockey. Fond memory.
Oh, very fond.
Very
Oh
fond.
my gosh.
There you go.
Playing outside when you could play outside and have so much fun. I
Lots
love
of
it. I love it. Next one is, what was your first job and what lessons did you learn?
First job.
Very first job.
It has to do with those ice skates. I wanted these Bauer hockey skates so that when the Matitaconk River froze, I could actually play hockey. So I picked up a newspaper delivery job. I was a newspaper boy.
Todd Durkin, newspaper boy?
That was my job. And let me tell you what, I took great pride in that job. Like, I wanted to build up. I think I got handed a route of like 12 different homes. I built it up to, at one point, over 32 homes. And I collected. And every week, first it was like $20 a week and then $25 a week. Before I knew it, I was making $35, $40 a week. And I took pride. Like, as soon as I got home, I would run home from the bus stop, get on my blue bike with yellow mag wheels. It was the coolest bike in the neighborhood. I'd put on my Asbury Park Press little newspaper bag across the handlebars, and I would fly to the 30, 35, 40 homes and deliver that paper by 3:15 in the afternoon. Folks, could you imagine getting the newspaper? Yes, I'm talking newspaper delivered to you with a smile, by the way, at 3:15 in the afternoon, not 6 in the morning. 3:15 in the afternoon. But that was my first job, and I had that job for many years. And all of a sudden, I felt like, hey, I was making $20, $30, $40. Why? Because I wanted those new hockey skates that my mom couldn't afford. And I learned the hustle. I learned the responsibility, and that led to me asking them when it was snow was in the forecast, hey, can I shovel your driveway for $20? Hey, can I rake your leaves, rake the lawn for $20? Before I knew it, I had like all these different side jobs. I was raking leaves in the fall. I was shoveling snow in the winter. I was delivering the paper 365 days a year, and that was my first job, and I took great pride in those jobs.
Quite the little entrepreneur. I
was.
love it.
I was.
I love it. Did you like money?
I liked money because I didn't have money growing up. So I learned that I had to hustle for money. And when I wanted hockey skates, they were $80. I remember at the sports store, they were $80. I had to find a way to make that money. Speaking of creating and manifesting, I had to make that money. I wasn't going to get it from my mom or my dad. My mom and dad were divorced when I was just 5 years old. So I was doing the paper route. I was doing the all the other side hustle stuff to make money, so I could either get some new mag wheels on the bike, or get some new ice skates, or get a new hockey stick, whatever it may be. But I learned to like money in the sense of I knew that if I worked hard, I could earn it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how old were you?
I was probably in the 6th grade, so I was probably 12 years old.
Yeah.
11, 12, 13 years old. And that just was the base of even now. It comes down to if you want something, you got to work for it. You got to have that work ethic too. I want to be the best paper boy ever. Matter of fact, I got a high school scholarship, $500 from the Asbury Park Press, because I was a standout paper boy. I got great reviews from my people. I remember Sunday mornings, they were thick papers. I couldn't make the route in one shot on my bike, so I'd have my dad. We'd have to put the newspaper together in the back of the car. We would go out and we would deliver the paper, and people at like 7:30, 8 a.m. on a Sunday would be waiting there in their bathrobes for me, and I'd run up to them, deliver the paper. They'd have a smile. But you know what day I hated, actually? I hated collecting. Like it was $2.25 for the paper, and I hated collecting. Even though I liked the money, I hated asking for money from people. So I'd always hope that people weren't actually home, so I could have to wait another day to collect. And I learned that as part of the responsibility is asking people for their money, because you're doing a good service. So again, part of the money at a young age, 12, 13, 14 years old, is you got to learn how to collect. If you've got a service, you got to collect on that. And my father would take me around in his blue Bonneville 1979, his blue Bonneville car, and those are some fond memories right there, and had to do with my first job. So there you go.
That is so cool. I love it. Now we're in high school.
All right.
Tell me about what you most enjoyed about high school.
Most enjoyed about high school. Well, I would say a student and an athlete. I took great pride on the student side. I finished, I believe it was 13th out of 389 people, I believe, in my class. School came first, there's no doubt about it, because I knew that for me, school and sports was going to be my way out to hopefully earn a scholarship playing football. But I was a 3-sport athlete. Football, basketball, baseball. And if it wasn't for me breaking my ankle sliding into third base as a freshman, darn it, I was trying to stretch a double into a triple and I broke my ankle. I was a varsity athlete in all sports. I had 11 varsity letters. So I lettered in basketball for 4 years, football for 4 years, and baseball for 3 years. Again, I broke my ankle my freshman year. But I took tremendous pride, again, in my athletic performance. While I had some ability, and I was blessed with that, I worked my tail off in the weight room. I didn't party in high school. I was disciplined. So between school and sports, that's what it was all about. So when you say what did I enjoy most about high school, I actually had a lot of fun. I loved sports, and I really enjoyed school. I enjoyed learning. I had great teachers at Brick High School, and there were some great students. We're a blue-collar community. Brick, New Jersey is very blue-collar, and that was my DNA, and I loved the football program. I mean, Brick, New Jersey, we used to call it, Titletown, USA for football. Dragontown, USA was full of a lot of championship banners, and having the opportunity to play for the venerable Coach Wolf certainly was one of the highlights of my high school career as well.
Cool. Speaking of Coach Wolf, I'd love to know your fondest memory of him.
My fondest memory of Coach Wolf actually isn't from high school. It's from middle school. Because in middle school, when I was playing Pop Warner football, again, my father had convinced me to play football, basketball, and baseball when I was in 6th grade because I just was playing soccer. I learned about this Pop Warner football and got good at it pretty quick. And I remember I'd see Coach Wolf sitting up in the stands, always high up on the 40-yard line. Coach Wolf with his silver hair, they called him the Silver Fox. He'd be sitting up there, and I knew, every kid from Brick knew who that was. That was the head football coach at Brick High School, and he was scouting his next talent pool. So he'd sit up there with a notebook and he'd be taking notes. And I remember I just wanted to impress the high school football coach because my older brothers, I have 2 older brothers, 5 sisters. My 2 oldest brothers played for Coach Wolf for state championship football teams. And even for the Pop Warner team, you'd have 16 championship green flags flying and Coach Wolf sitting there with his green jacket on. And I'm like, someday I'm going to play for that guy. I'm going to play for that guy. And sure enough, in 8th grade, he had a conversation with me. He said, hey, we're going to do something that we've never done. We're going to actually bring you as a freshman up to the varsity, and you're going to have a chance to compete for the starting job. So he'd pick me up at middle school when I was 8th grade at Veterans Memorial Middle School. He'd pick me up after school at 2:25 and shuttle me over to the high school where we could learn the plays. And when I say learn the plays, you ran the same plays back then. The same plays that we ran in middle school, we ran the same plays in high school, but obviously it was another level. And he'd pick me up and he'd take me over to high school and he'd have conversations in the car about faith, about family, about football, about Penn State football, and his mentors of Joe Coviella and Lou Little and Joe Paterno and these guys that taught him football back in the day. And I remember just being awestruck on that. And then obviously once I got to high school, so many life lessons from Coach. I could have a whole show probably on that, but the 5 P's to success, perfect practice produces peak performance. It's not just about going out there and practicing something once or twice. It's about 18 times. Run it again. Run it again. I still wake up in cold sweat sometime in the middle of the night. I could hear his voice saying, run it again. Run it again. Or every time a plane would go over, he'd look up in the air and he'd wave to a plane. Or before every high school football game, he'd walk around with a stick of gum and give every one of his beloved players a piece of gum and say something inspirational to every kid. Didn't matter if that kid wasn't going to step on the field. He'd give every kid a stick of gum and say something on that. And at the end of every game, he'd always stand at the locker room door with an apple and say something positive. Even if you just lost the game for the team, which I did once, he'd always find something positive to say, and he'd wait until the last person was out of the locker room. I don't see that being done today. I don't see it being done.
Special times for sure, and such a great mentor. Another mentor of yours, obviously, your dad. And your dad wrote you a letter pretty much every day when you were in college till he passed away. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite letter?
Favorite letter? He did write me a handwritten letter every day while I was at William & Mary. We used to joke around that you never wanted to see a silver smile. The silver smile is when you go to the mailbox and there was nothing in there. And when you were a freshman especially, you hated silver smiles. You always liked something. Again, different era there. You didn't have emails. You didn't have phones and text messages and things like that. So my dad, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but he'd always, on the back of a McDonald's menu typically, or the church bulletin, or a blank piece of paper, he'd write something real quick on that sheet of paper and then have clippings from the Asbury Park Press. And it was never about a favorite one. It was always about just the thought of, hey, I'm so proud of you. Make sure you're studying hard and you're avoiding, quote, distractions. Distractions to me were girls, right? So his distractions was, you make sure that you're not getting distracted and chasing the girls around town. So I'd always laugh and that. But obviously the favorite one for me was after my father passed, February of 1992, when he passed. After I returned to William & Mary, it was close to a month later after his heart attack. I seriously considered not going back to college. I was in a bad place, down, and I mean everything. My mentor, my father, my best friend, my cheerleader had left, and I was questioning my faith. I was questioning my whole purpose and my direction, and for the first time, football wasn't even important to me. Now here I was competing for a starting job, and I didn't even care. And I got a letter, and he wrote it the day before he passed away. And I think sometimes there's this divine wisdom and premonition sometimes, but my dad must have known what was coming, because in that letter, he happened to forecast and prognosticate that it didn't matter what major I was choosing between kinesiology, government, or business, that someday, it doesn't matter if I'm a teacher, a coach, a doctor, a lawyer, go into the military, whatever it was, he said, it doesn't matter what you do, it's who you are and the impact that you create.
Wow. That's so special, Todd.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah,
I still read
that's
that one.
awesome.
That's by far my favorite, because my dad knew, I'm convinced he knew something bad was coming up, and he wrote me a letter, an affirmation to a young boy, a father and a son, saying, I don't care what you do. It's not about a title. It's about how are you impacting people? What are you doing to make a difference in the world? I have that letter. I read it every February 19th, every year at least. That's the anniversary he passed. But when I received that email or that letter, it was like, wow. Like I got stopped in my tracks thinking, like, I'm never going to throw this letter away. So I had hundreds, if not thousands, of letters written. I still have many of them with me. That is at the top of the list.
That's so cool. That's definitely one of life's creative moments for sure. Best college teammate and why?
College teammate.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of great teammates, not just in college, but in high school and after college when I played ball and here at Fitness Quest 10. But I guess in college, my roommate of 3 years, both Andy Ruckman and Tony Tomich were guys. Tony Tomich was my freshman year roommate. He was from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm from Brick, New Jersey. You got the North clashing with the South, and you're trying to figure out how roommates get along or work together. And he was the guy that he hit this. If we had an 8 o'clock class, he'd set the alarm for 6 a.m. and hit the snooze button 20 times. I don't use a snooze button and never have. And he would be hitting that snooze over and over again. I'm like, why don't you just set it for 7:45 when you finally actually get up and roll out of bed versus 6 o'clock and having the thing go off for 2 hours on that. I love Tony Tomich. Brother has been there by my side through thick and thin. Andy Ruckman, same thing, man. Andy Ruckman from Grottoes, Virginia. He was just a guy for 3 years I lived with, in the salt of the earth, an amazing family. You talk about family values. Every Sunday they get together at the river to this day, and they'd have 30, 40, 50 people strong getting together at the river for a family barbecue in the small town USA of Grottoes, Virginia. On that. And one other one I want to note is a guy named Tom Dexter. Dex, as I call him, he's from Homedale, New Jersey. And,
I know Dex.
You know Dex. And Dex was a guy that he knew of me from New Jersey, and he was my big brother in my fraternity and has always had me under his side. Interesting enough, those were 3 guys that really impacted me in college. The one that I talk to all the time now isn't one of those 3. It's a guy named Warren Rourke. Y'all know Warren Rourke because he's been on this show before. And Warren is a guy who was a tight end of mine in college. And let me tell you what, you talk about a great friend and a mentor and someone that makes you laugh. If there is a day that I need to laugh anytime, even now, I call up Warren Rourke, and he makes me crack up like I'm going to lose a lung. I don't care how bad life is. Warren Rourke is one of those guys that everyone needs a friend like Warren, that it could be so bad. If I called up Warren, some way, shape, or form, he is going to make me laugh and find the humor in things. And we just have a lot of similarities in life with where we're at in our careers and making a difference, and with family. And he's got a kid that plays college football right now, and I've got a kid going off to play college football. On that, but Warren Rourke has become one of my best friends over the last 20 years, and is someone that these are brothers that I love. I was actually in the 300th graduating class of William & Mary, 300th. So we have a very tight-knit group, and I can go on and talk about the Alex Utex and the Craig Staubs, but there was a dozen or so of us that were extremely close and still are extremely close, and I love those brothers. It's one of those, like, I can get together with them now and maybe not have seen them in years, and it's like we haven't left. We're back in the day, 1993,
yeah.
And or I could call one of them up now and talk about anything. These are brothers that are certainly special.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Now we're going to fast forward. This is one of my final questions. We're going to fast forward. You just turned 50.
Who?
You.
Who did?
That's you, Todd Durkin.
Wow.
Dang, you're old.
Is that possible?
You're old. And I want to know what you're most proud of in the 50 years.
Shoot. Man. This is going to sound rhetorical, but it is the truth. My family. You know, I'll start with my wife, Melanie, because we've been married 20 years. That's all that matters right there. Man, I take great pride in the fact that relationships are not easy. I don't care whose relationship it is, but I guess you don't appreciate it sometimes until you don't have it. I do appreciate it because I know what I have in a wife and a spouse and a believer and a partner like Melanie, who has been by my side for almost 25 years by the time we met in grad school at San Diego State. But I'm proud of the fact that we've got such a good relationship, and then we've got three great kids, Luke, Brady, and McKenna. I'm proud of the fact as a father that I could take the lessons I learned in 20 years from my dad. And while I was slighted time, I learned some really valuable lessons about time from my father, and I don't take a single day for granted. If you ask me what brings me the most joy today, spending time with my kids. I love spending time with my kids. I love, watching them play football, lacrosse, soccer, whatever it may be. I love coaching them. I love hanging with them. It pains me the fact that my oldest is going off to college across the country. I joke around with him. I told him I'm going to buy a house in the hometown there, and I'm going back to college on that. But honestly, out of all the professional accolades that I've been able to achieve, I'm most proud of my family on that, and we've been fortunate. And then here we sit in the new headquarters. I'm very proud of Fitness Quest 10. 21 years of starting something from nothing, and to see the leaders who have blossomed right now as we record this. You're in the room, Julie. What's it? You said 16 years. I lose count of time. I got my man Larry Individually in the room. When he's in the room, I do better work, and I've known Larry for 25 years, literally going back to when I was in grad school, and he was a trainer and who now is a crucial role in all that I do. But even some of the young, I say young folks, but the Jeff Bristols and Jesse Dietrichs, and all these folks who are coming up that are really taking the torch, and literally the next 25 years are going to be as good or better than the last 25 years because of one of the things I'm most proud about is I believe one of my roles is in creating leaders. And whether those leaders are in my mastermind group, and we've got a couple hundred fire-breathing dragons, like leaders that are learning how to lead people, I think my next 25 years is really spent on mentoring, coaching, leading other leaders to lead. I still love Fitness Quest 10. I love everything I'm doing. But part of my purpose and mission in life now is to teach the next generation how to lead. And I'm talking about transformational leadership, not telling someone how to do something, but transformational leadership in the sense of how do you really impact someone's body, mind, soul, to get behind a mission and a purpose that's divine so you can do your best work. So for me, when you ask about what I'm most proud of, obviously family, obviously professional. I think we're always searching for what's next to go deeper and deeper. But the leadership thing for me is something that I'm taking very seriously these days.
Yeah, and that's so great, and it's so needed, I believe. And it kind of brings me back to the quote, and I'd like to say it again, and I'd like to know what it means to you. Life is not about finding who you really are. It's about creating who you really want to be. Tell me what that means to you.
Well, I think sometimes people listen to a podcast and they forget the path that someone's traveled. Guys, I've overcome a lot of adversity growing up. You know, mom and dad were divorced when I was 5, not having a lot of money. I shared some of those things today. You laugh, with some of those memories and the paperboy route and, shoveling driveways and that, losing my father and having a really serious back injury when I was 25. Like, these are adversities that actually made me who I am. Like, these are things, I think when you talk about adversity and struggle, there's the quote down below at Fitness Quest 10 from Wilma Rudolph about, embracing the struggle. I do believe that the struggle has made me who I am today. And when you say, like, life's not about finding who you really are, I believe those struggles and those challenges have made me who I am, but it's about creating who you really want to be. I believe the future is paved by manifesting what you truly want based on your divine purpose. So when you go deeper on your faith and you ask yourself the question, how can I better serve the people that I serve? Whether I know them here at Fitness Quest 10 or what we do through the mastermind or impact coaching or through the podcast, like some of you listening right now, I haven't physically met yet, but I know I'm mentoring folks that I haven't met. Like, what can I do to better mentor, coach, lead people based on the purpose that I'm supposed to be leading and manifesting? So when it says it's about creating or manifesting who you really want to be, the question I ask myself, like probably many of you listening in, is, then who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And just because you've achieved something for the last 30 years, 50 years or whatever, doesn't mean that's who you're going to be for the next 50 years. For me, I'm constantly trying to evolve and grow and listen to myself and my relationship with God. Not I'm going to try to be what everyone wants me to be, but what is it that I'm supposed to do based on my whispers and my divine calling so that I can trust over the next few years to go deeper and deeper to impact more people. Heck, that's why we've got the podcast. That's why we started this thing. I don't know how many episodes we're into this now, 180 something probably. But whatever it is, it's why? Because we want to motivate and inspire and create more impact in the world. And I know at Fitness Quest 10, we can do that in San Diego really well in San Diego. But part of my purpose is to try to evolve and grow and impact more people through speaking and coaching and obviously through the podcast itself. So I love the quote. Life's not about finding out just who you really are. It's about creating who you really want to be. If you're listening in today, and whether you've had a past that you're really, really proud of or you're not, know that they made you who you are today, but who you want to be tomorrow is based on your purpose and your alignment with your core values and having the faith and the trust to take the action steps and the risk necessary to maybe even give up what you have so you can go up to where you're destined to be.
Wow. Todd, I want to thank you so much for letting me take over your show and ask you some questions.
We should start
today.
a Julie Wilcox show.
We should.
There
yes.
you go. Guys, if you want a Julie Wilcox podcast show, here we got it.
Let's go.
Or let's just have you on more often, and we'll just have like a co-host situation here.
I love it. I love it. Anyway, Thanks so much. I'll turn it back to you and let you close it off.
Well, Julie, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Guys, just so you know, Julie is behind the scenes many times, and I love when she's front stage as well, because one of the reasons why you're listening to so many episodes is because of people like Julie and Amelia Ann and Zach and Jess and all these folks who work on the podcast behind the scenes, because sometimes it sounds so good and when you're listening in, but it does take a team of people. And one thing I've realized on anything that's worth doing, it's always about who's in your life, not what's in your life. It's the who, not the how, right? The who, not the how. Who's in your life? And Julie is one of the key people in my life on many different aspects. And one of the reasons why you're listening to the show right now is because of Julie and the who's that are behind this. So, Julie, I say thank you for what you do as well.
Thank you. It's my
Folks,
pleasure.
go out there and have a great day. Remember, regardless of your background, keep moving forward. Have the vision of where you're going. And regardless of what you're going to do, part of the way that you're going to achieve what you're supposed to achieve is to always train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact today.